Well, hello again, and welcome to unit number 5 of the Training for Interpretive Trainers course. Unit number 5 is on developing your training manual. Now, whenever I give or do large interpretive training courses, we create a manual. The manual has a couple purposes. One is it has kind of the schedule of instruction, and it has some of the basic key points that we're going to be talking about in the course. So, for example, in the manual, I'd have an article on the model of interpretation, and that way, as I'm going through the model of interpretation on my PowerPoint program, people can be following along with the article and the graphic of the model of interpretation in their manual, and they can make notes or anything they want to, while we're going through that. Now, I should also mention that as part of our training courses, we give all of our participants a resource CD. Now, the resource CD has articles and copies of all of the PowerPoint programs I do in my training. That way, when they go back home and they want to review anything, they have the PowerPoint program. So that way the manual gets smaller because we have almost all the things that we would have in the manual on the resource CD. So some of the things we do put in the manual, and I've included 2 manuals for you for 2 courses I do for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. These are kind of typical of the manuals that we do. It has a schedule of instruction. Now we'll work with you on your schedule of instruction in some later units, that and lesson plans. But then we have all the handouts or all the activity sheets in order that we do them, and most of these courses are 3 and 4 days long. So, for example, if I have people work on standing up and giving a short interpretive talk, there's a blank planning form in the manual that they take out and they could fill it in to have their theme, have their objectives, write down how they're going to provoke, relate, and reveal, and a little bit about who their audience would be. So it's a blank planning form. So almost all the activities that we do, and we do a lot of hands-on. Remember, when you're doing your manual, when you're planning your training, people only remember 10% of what they hear, but they remember 90% of what they do. So we try to have them do a lot of different things that really reinforce the main concepts. So these activity sheets, where they can fill in the blank, or their checklists, are things in the manual that they will use during the training course. Now, if you're using your manual as a reference, then you may want to have those activity sheets as separate handouts, and the manual becomes more of a how do I do it book, or what are your policies book, or planning forms that they can use in planning a tour or a guided walk. So the manuals are individualized. It depends on what it is you're going to be training. It's going to depend on who you're doing the training for. And it depends on the kind of activities you're going to have them do during the training course. And we'll talk more about developing hands-on experiences a little bit later. So your assignment for Unit 5 is not to create the whole manual, but create a table of contents for me as just what you'd like to put in your training manual, because then as you develop your course, you will fill in the table of contents with the actual items that you'll do, and I can give you some advice on that as well. And then the 2 samples of the training manuals that you're going to get are good examples of the manuals that I use and develop for my longer courses. As always, if you have any questions at all, just send me an email or Skype me, and we'll just keep you moving along on the important aspect of developing your interpretive training course manuals. And I'm looking forward to seeing just what you're going to put in them. Thanks. Bye-bye.